So there's one down from the list of the NLC. That's the cash. We do hope that with this compliance from the CBN that there'll be cash and perhaps there'll be a little bit of succor to that area. But of course, we still have the field queues. I saw them when I was on my way to the office this morning. See what the NLC will do or will say if there'll be a little bit of extension because of the cash. But we'll see. We'll follow up on that story. Meanwhile, we still have a whole lot of things to face, especially we cannot lose sight of the election that comes up on Saturday. That's a couple of days where Nigerians will be choosing their governors and also the state representatives in the state houses of assembly in the different states of the federation, 28 states to be precise, where there'll be governorship election. So let's talk about expectations, and we're going to stay on this until the election. Joining us for this conversation is the Chief Executive Officer of A Better Financial, Mr. Ayodeji Bankole Olushino, joining us virtually now from Lekki. Good morning, Mr. Adeshina. Thank you so much for your time. Are you happy about this announcement from the CBN? We're going to go back, at least have our old Naira notes running side by side with the redesigned ones. Does it put a smile? Does it ease anything from your perspective?
Well, definitely. Thank you very much, Ini, for this invitation. Definitely, this is good news. It only helps things it eases things definitely at the business level, particularly for the smaller businesses, and just eases livelihood as it is. Access to more to cash and people believe in their cash, right? So I think it's just going to make things better for us.
All right, so does it, just before we go to, does it, from your perspective, take us back in the pursuit of a cashless economy, which is the ideal in the world now?
The best place is cashless, right? It costs money to ferry cash, it costs money to print cash. And we should have made a lot more progress in terms of our cashless ambition. The former CBN governor started that journey, right? This current CBN governor, in fact, took us back a while. And unfortunately, now wants to, leapfrog too quickly. It's unfortunate that this has also been read as some political undertones and all that. Cashless is good, that's where we should be, but we must carry people along. And we must then also have the infrastructure to support cashless. We're moving from, this is a cultural issue, we're moving from where people love their cash, want to handle their cash, want to just, trust their cash in their pocket. So if you're going to replace that, then you must address the underlying infrastructure. The underlying infrastructure of ensuring that when cash is when money is then transferred, money must arrive as and when due. That is the challenge that is causing the distrust in this system. That must be addressed, and that will take some time for people to then adopt. So you must give people their time. It's their money. So you must give them some time in getting used to this new culture. Fantastic time, cashless, fantastic. We must get there. But we can't get there in too much of a hurry.
All right, so now let's go to the elections. Nigerians, I think at this time, because of the extra 1 week, are still looking at the governorship candidates and thinking, who can do the job better? Who can we choose to lead this state? What do you think Nigerians should be looking out for when they're perusing the candidates who are up for governorship?
Okay, now, Ini, I am talking as Ayodeji Bankole Olushino, not the representative of A Better Financial Services. I am an alumni of the School of Politics, Governance, and Policy. And so I believe I am an apostle of the 3 C's. I think it's important that we take character into consideration, capacity into consideration, and competence into consideration. Those three C's are fundamental to choosing the type of subnational leaders that will emerge. Governance in itself is big business. We must understand that. It is big business. If we take Lagos, for instance, Lagos with a total revenue base as at 2021 of 750 billion naira, it's not a place that you want to then give to somebody who, one, doesn't have capacity, two, doesn't have character, three, doesn't have the competence, right? And for all the states, for all the subnationals, even to the local government level, we as Nigerians, as people, as citizens, must start to understand that first of all, the power is with us, and to give this power, to yield this power to anyone for leadership, we must then pass that person in terms of character, in terms of competence, and in terms of capacity.
So when you talk about capacity, for instance, would you say in the public sector, in the private sector, in the home front, where exactly are you referring to?
Again, you are taking me to very interesting things. I personally, I believe that your track record must speak for you. I have about over 25 years corporate experience. Now, I believe very much in institutional management and leadership. Institutional management and leadership. Now, that can come from a myriad of places, right? Let's start from the home front. How do you manage your wife and your children? That's the smallest institution that you're supposed to manage. If you have a wife, and if you're female, how do you manage your husband? So your spouse and the very few ones that God has committed to your hands. How do you come out on that leadership base, or on that leadership criteria? Then, in terms of professional, how have you also survived? How have you led? How have you managed things? How have you managed people? How have you managed resources that have been committed to you? Right? And that speaks a lot in terms of then you make it standing out in public to say, give me your resources, the resources of the state, the people of the state. Governance is about improving the livelihood of the people in that environment. We must understand that. We as citizens must demand from our leaders a better livelihood. Better livelihood in terms of how we live, how we transact business, and how we, go about our daily life, essentially. So for us as citizens to commit leadership to somebody or to leave our resources and our livelihood in the hands of somebody, that person had better show in some sphere that he's worthy of that responsibility.
Well, that becomes really important because yesterday we talked about internally generated revenue. For a state like Lagos, we see Lagos leading, a good one. But it still begs the question, is that the best we can do? Is Lagos done with exploring its potentials? But because even when you look at all the states in the country, we see potentials, and we keep talking about potentials and the need for states to be independent, not just going hand in hand to Abuja every month. And we see the resources and we talk about it, and it doesn't seem like those things are hidden, but getting the individuals who can actually lead the way to explore those resources for the good of the state and the people of the state actually becomes, another kettle of fish.
I think that, first of all, we as citizens must understand the power that we have as citizens. The biggest challenge in leadership or governance in Nigeria is transparency. The moment people think that you are in office, but you are not in office, if you get what I'm saying. You are in office, but you are being controlled by some other force. That in itself is a problem, because it means that the buck doesn't stop at your table. And that is what we have seen over the years, particularly in this dispensation, I'm talking nationally now, for people who are not elected but are in control. Now, it is important then as citizens or as a leader to be able to convey to people that I am the one that is responsible for how things are done in this environment, in this state, in this local government. The buck stops with me. I take the decisions, and I have the character. You can trust me with your resources. You can trust me because I am competent. You can trust me because I have the capacity. You see, in terms of comparison, we seem to look too much inwards. Lagos is the fourth wealthiest city in Africa, behind Johannesburg, Cape Town, Cairo. Then you have Lagos. Now, if you look at Lagos with, other subnationals in Nigeria, without the kind of IGR that Lagos is commanding, combined with FAC has even ever been more than 200 billion. IGR in 2021 was, a little over 500, more than 550, right? So if you look at Lagos in the sense comparing to other states, you'll say, oh, Lagos is doing well, is doing better, is doing that. But when you look at Lagos, aside Johannesburg, aside Cape Town, aside Cairo, let it take its place amongst the community of cities, then you will start to see that we're still lacking, we're still far behind, right? There are things like infrastructure to focus on. There are things like healthcare to focus on. There are things like education to focus on. So there's a lot going. How does Lagos, or how has Lagos in the last 6, 7, 8 to 10 years, how have they improved the livelihood of the Lagosian? That is the thing that is the question for this next election. Is a referendum on the present governor, and it's a referendum on the party that has produced the government over the time, and it's for Lagosians really to decide how we want to take that forward.
Well, talking about Lagos, of course, we saw in 2021, they led other states, as you noted there, over 202 billion. And then for 2022, with over 753 billion. But as you've noted, then how is that impacting people? And we do know that a bulk of this comes from taxes. So we'll always have the conversation of multiple taxation in Lagos, because businesses are paying, they have different levels. There's a local government, there's, the men on the street or the guys on the street. How, as a government, do you think perhaps a second term of the current administration or a new leadership when it comes to the state, what can they do differently to handle this issue of multiple taxation, but still not losing, this track record that they seem to have been holding for a couple of years now?
This is now becoming very tough questions. Taxation is a big issue anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world, people really don't want to pay taxes. Particularly in Nigeria, our tax morale is quite low, right? However, people must understand the social contract between government and citizens, and our responsibility to fund government, right? Now, the challenge, though, in a place like Lagos is the duplicity of that tax system. And particularly this also can be formal or can actually be informal. Now, in terms of taxes, legal taxes, whether from the federal government, from state government or the local government, they're really only about a little over 60 taxes that are backed by law. But in Nigeria, in Lagos rather, there is the informal levies. And I don't know, you might have come by the report, the investigative report that said that, just road users, and I'm talking, drivers and all that, alone generate about 123 billion per year to the informal collection of levies. right? Now, the moment taxes, the utilization of taxes is not transparent and is not communicated, people will feel cheated. So now, in terms of managing the system, the focus really should be how we can make the informal formal. How do we bring the informal system into a formal system? Now, once there is a formal system, then how do we ensure that we're not paying twice, either to state or to, or to local? How do we ensure that there's no duplicity in that? Once there is transparency in this, and there's also communication in terms of utilization, then people might start to relate better to this culture of taxes. There's no way things are going to get better in an environment without a government being funded. Main funding is taxes, but there must be transparency on utilization of those resources. There must be a change of the culture. You see, today, people in government make it look as if they're doing you a favor. We must change that narrative. We must understand that we put you there. So when people clamor to want to take power, when citizens clamor to want to take power, it's because they want to be responsible for putting people in government. And therefore, the resources that the government is also managing belong to the people. Once there's transparency around that management, I think there will be a better attitude, towards that. And it will not affect as much the way business is done. It's just a trust system that is being breached right now, and that's what must be sorted out.
Yeah, and I guess Nigerians do have the opportunity to, look out for this at this time, because it's another opportunity to choose somebody who occupy that space, and this is your opportunity to use your power and choose who you think can handle the space best.
Yeah, I can't hear you clearly. I think there's some feedback somewhere.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Looks like
I've lost you. There's some feedback somewhere, so I can't hear you clearly.
Okay. We'll just take a moment. We'll take a moment on the program, and then we'll be back. Do hold on, Mr. Olushina. We'll come back to you in a couple of minutes. You're welcome back. I apologize for that mix-up. I hope you can hear me now, Mr. Olushina. Can you hear me? I think you're muted.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Okay, so we're saying, we're talking about, this is an opportunity for Nigerians generally to, use that power, check out the details of, the candidates, and ensure that they choose someone who they think can bring freshness to not just the revenue and the tax collection, but the transparency that you referred to generally.
Absolutely. I think that, first of all, politicians must understand that political office is not a birthright. It is not an endowment. It is a matter of the people using their power to empower you for a period. We must understand that in Nigeria. That is the process of governance. This season is an opportunity to look at how the governance how governance has impacted our lives as individuals and collective as a society for the better. How has it bettered my life? Now, if the incumbent is seen to have impacted our life positively and has a promise to continue to do that, why not? Otherwise, the power is really in our hands to choose to change the person that we have empowered to lead us. Simple.
So much. We do hope that Nigerians will use that power. And that's why it's important for you to get your PVC and go out there and vote on Saturday. Thank you so much, Mr. Ayodeji Bankole Olushina, the Chief Executive Officer of Abeta Financial, for sharing your thoughts with us this morning.
Thank you very much, Ini.